Imagine this. You're 2,000 feet underground in a tomb of rock, and the only light you've seen in weeks is the faint glow of a dying headlamp. The air is so thick with heat and humidity that every breath feels like swallowing soup. Your stomach is a hollow fist. You haven't eaten a real meal in 50 days, and somewhere far above, the entire world has already held your funeral. Now open your eyes, because every word of that nightmare actually happened to 33 ordinary Chilean miners in 2010, and every one of them walked out alive. August 5, 2010, San José Mine, Atacama Desert, northern Chile. The mountain coughed once, a sound like God slamming a cathedral door, and 500,000 tons of diorite and granite collapsed into the main spiral ramp. 33 men working the deepest levels never had a chance to run. The rockfall was so violent it registered on seismographs in Santiago. Dust billowed out of the mine mouth like smoke from a volcano. Within minutes, the San José mine, an ancient, notoriously unsafe warren of tunnels that had been condemned decades earlier, was officially a grave. Up on the surface, families arrived within hours. Mothers, wives, children, girlfriends set up a tent city that would soon be called Camp Hope. They lit candles, tied green scarves to the fence, and refused to leave. The mining company told them gently to prepare for the worst. The Chilean government said nothing at all for days. Down below, the 33 men were not dead. They were in hell. They had sprinted to the refuge, a reinforced room the size of a small apartment, when the mountain began to scream. The door was designed to withstand rock bursts. It held, but everything else failed. Ventilation stopped, lights died. Temperature soared to 98 degrees with near 100% humidity. Sweat didn't evaporate, it just poured off them and pooled on the floor. They had 48 cans of tuna, 100 expired military biscuits, a few liters of peach milk, and that was it. For 33 men. Shift foreman Luis Urzúa, a quiet, bespectacled 54-year-old who looked more like a high school math teacher than a mining boss, took command instantly. He drew a map of every tunnel he could remember on the wall with a marker. Then he did something no one expected. He put the men on suicide watch for each other. If any man wants to give up, he said, he has to convince all 32 of the rest first. We leave together or we don't leave at all. Mario Sepúlveda, a 39-year-old electrician with the energy of a tornado and a mouth that never stopped, became the group's heartbeat. He nicknamed himself Super Mario and turned every day into theater. He led prayers that started reverent and ended with jokes so filthy the priests above would have fainted. When despair crept in, he would shout, "Listen up, cabrones, we are not dying in this shithole. We are going to walk out of here like rock stars." For 17 days, no drill bit reached them. 17 days of silence from the surface. 17 days of eating 2 spoonfuls of tuna every 72 hours. Of drinking water meant for radiator coolant. Of licking moisture off the walls like dogs. Some men began to hallucinate. One saw his dead mother bringing him bread. Another swore he heard his daughter singing. Jose Henriquez, a devout evangelical they called the pastor, held twice daily services. Men who had never prayed in their lives knelt in the mud and begged. On day 17, a drill bit punched through the roof of a tunnel near the refuge. The men heard it, a beautiful mechanical scream. They painted the bit red with spray paint from a machine and tied a plastic bag to it with a note in red marker. Estamos bien en el refugio, los 33. We are okay in the refuge, the 33. When that drill bit broke surface at 5:45 a.m. on August 22nd, the camp erupted. Grown men sobbed. The president of Chile, Sebastián Piñera, held the note up to television cameras and said, "This is a message of faith and hope." Within hours, it was on every screen on Earth. Now the race began. 3 separate rescue plans ran at once because no one dared bet everything on one machine. Plan A was an Australian raise borer, slow but precise. Plan C was a massive Canadian oil rig that could chew through rock like a dinosaur. Plan B was the underdog, a SRAM T-130 drill normally used for water wells, operated by a tiny Chilean company and an American drilling crew from Denver, Colorado. The American in charge was Jeff Hart, a 40-year-old roughneck who had been on vacation in Afghanistan when he got the call. He flew 40 hours straight, landed in the Atacama, took one look at the mountain and said, "Let's go get those boys." For 33 days he stood on that rig platform in 100-degree heat, guiding the bit by feel, shaving millimeters off target to keep the hole straight. Chileans started calling him El Gringo Loco. He just grinned and kept drilling. Down below, a fiber optic line finally reached the men on day 24. The first image the world saw was Mario Sepúlveda staring into the camera, skeletal, bearded, eyes burning. "We are waiting for you. Don't abandon us." Then he laughed like a madman and the planet fell in love. Food pallets started arriving through a 6-inch borehole. Palomas, they called them, doves. Real food, chicken, rice, apples. The men cried eating their first apple in months. NASA sent psychologists who had trained astronauts for Mars missions. They taught the miners to sleep in shifts to avoid conflict, to keep a daily routine. One psychologist said later, "These guys could have run the space station better than some astronauts I know." But the mountain kept trying to kill them. Rock bursts continued. Twice the refuge ceiling cracked and poured boulders the size of cars. Each time the men ran for their lives inside their tiny shelter. They formed a miniature society. They elected a council. They had a medic, Yanni Barrios, who had zero medical training but learned to give injections and monitor vital signs through the phone with doctors above. Yanni became famous for another reason. Both his wife and his mistress showed up at Camp Hope. The newspapers had a field day. Yanni just shrugged. Love is complicated. They had a filmmaker, Pablo Rojas, 26 years old, who used a tiny video camera to record everything. Those tapes are now national treasures in Chile. The youngest was Ariel Ticona, 29, whose wife gave birth to a daughter while he was trapped. They named her Esperanza, Hope. Ariel watched the birth on a grainy video feed and wept so hard he almost passed out. The oldest was Mario Gomez, 63, who wrote letters to his wife on scraps of paper. "If I die down here, plant a lemon tree over my grave." Day 69, October 12, 2010. The Plan B hole, only 26 inches wide, was finally ready. Engineers had built 3 steel capsules painted red, white, and blue. They called the best one Phoenix II, the Phoenix. At 11:18 p.m., Florencio Avalos, 31, chosen first because he was calm and physically strong, stepped into the capsule. He wore a green jumpsuit, a helmet with a camera, and sunglasses against a sun he hadn't seen in 70 days. The door closed. The winch began to turn. 16 minutes later, the capsule broke surface. Florencio stepped out, hugged his 7-year-old son, and the desert night exploded. Fireworks. Cheers. 1 billion people watching live. The largest audience for a news event in history. Then came Mario Sepúlveda, bursting out like a jack-in-the-box, shouting "Chi-chi-chi, le-le-le," handing out souvenir rocks to rescuers, hugging everyone in sight, pure electricity. One by one they rose. Victor Zamora, the poet who had written verses on the walls. Claudio Yanez, who proposed to his girlfriend from inside the mine via video. She said yes. Richard Villarroel, only 27, who met his newborn son for the first time. Edison Peña, the Elvis fanatic who had jogged miles every day in the tunnels to stay sane. He would later run the New York Marathon. And finally, at 8:55 p.m. on October 13th, Luis Urzúa, the shift boss who had kept them alive for 70 days with nothing but dignity and tuna fish. He stepped out last, saluted the president, and said, "The shift is over. I hand the mine back to you. All 33, not one lost." The Atacama night sky had never seen so many stars or so many tears. 10 years later, in 2020, the miners reunited at the mine site. Some had struggled, PTSD, poverty, broken marriages. Others had traveled the world telling their story. Edison Peña sang with the Foo Fighters. Mario Sepúlveda became a motivational speaker. Omar Regatas became a great-grandfather and still wears his rescue helmet when he gives talks to school kids. The San José mine is closed forever. A simple cross stands where the ramp used to be, but the lesson remains. When the worst thing imaginable happens, when the mountain falls and the lights go out and the world writes you off, 33 ordinary men, miners, fathers, jokers, believers, can still choose to keep each other alive. They can ration the last can of tuna. They can paint a drill bit red. They can write on a scrap of paper, "We are okay." And sometimes, against every odd in the universe, the mountain opens, the capsule rises, and the dead men walk out into the starlight. That is not a miracle. That is what human beings do when we refuse to let each other go.